The Negro has been a brilliant success. The Negro is a brilliant success. 1883, Frederick Douglass. And whatever else the Negro may have been a failure, he has, in one respect, been a marked and brilliant success. He has managed by one means or another to make himself one of the most prominent and interesting figures that now attract and hold the attention of the world. Go where you will meet with him. He is alike present among the learned and thoughtful and among the gay and thoughtless. We see him pictured at our street corners and hear him in the songs of our marketplaces. The low and vulgar curse him, the snob and the flunky affect to despise him, the mean and the cowardly assault him because they know that his friends are few and that they can abuse him with impunity and with the applause of the coarse and brutal crowd. The low and vulgar, listen to this. This is what white supremacists, racist, low-life pieces of shit, right? They'll abuse the black man. He just got his freedom, right? He knows his 1883. His friends are few and that they can abuse him with impunity and with the applause of the coarse and brutal crowd. But despite all, the Negro remains cool, strong, imperturbable, and cheerful. Men of all lands and languages make him a subject of profound thought and study. To the statesman and philosopher, he's an object of intense curiosity. Men want to know more of his character, his qualities, his attainments, his mental possibilities, and his probable destiny, notwithstanding their black faces. The Jubilee singers with their wild and plaintive music thrill and charm the most refined and cultivated of the white race. Both here and in Europe, generous and brave men have borne ample testimony to the courage of the Negro, to his gallantry, and to his patriotism. Of the books, pamphlets, and speeches concerning him, there is literally no end. He is the one inexhaustible topic of conversation at our firesides and in our public halls. One ground of hope for the Negro is in the fact that the discussion concerning him still goes on. The country in which we live is happily governed by ideas as well as by laws. No black man need despair while there is an audible and earnest assertion of justice and right on his behalf. He may be riddled with bullets or roasted over a slow fire by the mob, but his cause cannot be shot or burned or otherwise destroyed. Like Fred Hampton, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. All talk of its being a dead issue is a mistake. It may for a time be buried, but it is not dead. Tariffs, free trade, civil service, and river and harbor bills may for a time cover it, but it will rise again and again and again with increased life and vigor. All efforts thus far to diminish the Negro's importance as a man and as a member of the American body politic have failed. Without putting my ear to the ground, I can even now hear the anxious inquiry as to when this discussion of the Negro will cease. If you wish to suppress it, I counsel you, my fellow citizens, to remove its cause. The demand for Negro rights would have ceased long since but for the existence of a sufficient and substantial cause for its continuance. What Abraham Lincoln said in respect of the United States is as true of the colored people as of the relations of those states. They cannot remain half slave and half free. You must give them all or take from them all. Unless this half and half condition is ended, there will be just ground for complaint. You will have an aggrieved class, and this discussion will go on until the public schools shall cease to be a caste schools in every part of our country. This discussion will go on until the colored man's pathway to the American ballot box, north and south, shall be as smooth and as safe as the same is for the white citizen. This discussion will go on until the colored man's right to practice at the bar of our courts and sit upon juries shall be the universal law and practice of the land. This discussion will go on until the courts of the country shall grant the colored man a fair trial and a just verdict. This discussion will go on until color shall cease to be a bar to equal participation in the offices and honors of the country. This discussion will go on until the trade unions and the workshops of the country It shall cease to prescribe the colored man and prevent his children from learning useful trades. This discussion will go on until the American people shall make character, not color, the criterion of respectability. This discussion will go on until men like Bishops, Payne, and Campbell shall cease to be driven from respectable railroad cars in the South. This discussion will go on, in a word, until truth and humanity shall cease to be living ideas, and mankind shall sink back into moral darkness, and the world shall put evil for good, bitter for sweet, and darkness for light. This discussion will go on until all humane ideas and civilization shall be banished from the world. This discussion will go on. There never was a time when this great lesson could be more easily learned than now. Events are transpiring all around us that enforce consideration of the oppressed classes. In one form or another, by one means or another, the ideas of a common humanity against privileged classes, of common rights against special privileges, are now rocking the world. It is for America to be wise in time. We have free speech and a free press. With us there is no apology for violence or crime. The gates of reason are still open to us. While we may speak and vote, we need not despair. The rights of the Negro as a man and a brother began to be asserted with the earliest American colonial history. And I derive hope from the fact that the discussion still goes on and the claims of the Negro rise higher and higher as the years roll by. 200 years of discussion has abated no jot of its power or its vitality. Behind it we have a great cloud of witnesses, going back to the beginning of our country and to the very foundation of our government. Our best men have given their voices and their votes on the right side of it through all our generations. Next chapter, the Negro is beginning to think. 1885. Some more Frederick Douglass. Coming up. 185, The Heart and Mind of Frederick Douglass.